This is a 24/7nursetutors.com lecture. 24/7 Nurse Tutors, providing unlimited tutoring.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Test Taking Skills and Strategies Workshop, Part 1.
Hello, and welcome to our Test Taking Strategies and Skills Workshop. Together, we're going to learn how to use the 24/7 Nurse Tutor method to answer NCLEX-style questions. Here's what you're going to learn in this workshop. You are going to learn test-taking tips you have learned about before. You are going to learn new ways to apply the information, and you are going to practice questions using all of these tips. Let's talk about airway, breathing, circulation. Now, I do not need to tell you this one. This is your ABCs. If your client is not breathing, we have a problem. Airway, breathing, circulation will always be your priority. Bonus questions. In this course, you are going to learn how to identify bonus questions. Yes, NCLEX has bonus questions. Yes, NCLEX does. Now, these are questions I want you to spend 15 to 20 seconds on maximum, so you have more time to spend on the difficult questions. I will say it again. Spend a maximum of 20 seconds on bonus questions so you have time to spend on the difficult questions. In this course, I will teach you how to identify bonus questions. We're going to teach you how to eliminate choices and pick the right answer even when you have to guess. Yes, we're going to teach you how to guess right. Here's an important test tip. Always eliminate choices. Yes, eliminate choices. Listen up. Now, if you know the correct answer, what do I want you to do? Pick it. Yeah, pick it. But if you do not know the correct answer, I want you to use the test-taking tips I will teach you to choose the correct answer. When you eliminate 2 out of 4, guess what? You've got a 50% chance of getting this question right. Do you know what really happens? You eliminated B, C, and D, and then you look at the last A and think, what is that? I never heard that word in my life. Then you begin to second guess yourself. And then you begin to read the question again. And then you begin to give your client more diseases. Well, the client does have congestive heart failure, so I'm so sure his blood pressure is high and he probably has pitting edema and he can't breathe. I'm sure he has an airway obstruction, but all this was not in the scenario. You just added it in. So you look at D again and say, you know what? I'm going to resuscitate you. Answer D. Answer D. Hey, wake up. And I know your teacher told you never change your answer. And what did you just do? Yes, you changed your answer. When the results came out, can you guess which answer was correct? It was A. A was the correct answer, and it was the last answer standing, wasn't it? Here's my rule. The only time you change your answer is if you read the question wrong. Now, I'm going to say that again. The only time you change your answer is if you read the question wrong. Here's what I want you to do. Write down in your book. Eliminate choices and do not resuscitate. Pick the last answer standing. This is a very important concept, so I'm going to repeat it again. Eliminate choices and do not resuscitate. Pick the last answer standing. Okay, class, let's talk about answering questions about grief. Now, I love the grief giraffe on YouTube. Watch it and let me know what you think. Grief has various stages: denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. We'll discuss this in more detail later on. It goes like this. Let's say you go to visit Grandma because you just heard Grandpa died 2 days ago. And you know Grandpa and Grandma have been married for 70 years. When you go to Mama's house, you meet Grandma sitting at the table for 2. Now what do? Do you say, hey Grandma, I hate to tell you, but Grandpa died 2 nights ago. Would you do that to Grandma? Please just leave Grandma alone to make her food and stay with her. Now, If Grandma's making food for Grandpa 3 years down the line, do we have a problem? Yes, we do. Grandma will need help. Here's an important test-taking tip. Do not take away the coping mechanism used in a crisis. I'll repeat that. Do not take away the coping mechanism used in a crisis. Let's talk about Maslow's. Did you know you can use Maslow's to choose an answer without even reading the question? In this class, I will teach you how to use Maslow's to get answers right 99.99% of the time. Maslow's is absolutely fantastic, especially with psych questions. All right, let's discuss assessment. When do I want you assessing your client? All the time, of course. So let's say I'm teaching you and eating chips. And teaching and eating chips. What do you think is going to happen to me? Okay, I'm going to choke because I'm eating and teaching at the same time. Okay, so now I'm choking and I'm drooling and you can hear Strider. I now have my hands around my neck. What are you going to do? How would you feel if your friend came up to me and said, "Oh, you don't look too good. Let me check your pulse." Check my pulse? I hope you're going to save my life. I hope you are going to do the Heimlich maneuver on me. Class, when you see a question where your client is in distress, do not pick an assessment as your answer. We need action. Let me say that again because it's an important test-taking concept. When your client is in distress, do not assess. When in distress, do not assess unless it is secondhand information. Let me tell you a story about what happened to me in the hospital where I worked as an administrator. Have you ever been to a Code Blue? Yeah? How many people are in the room? Yeah, a lot. In the hospital I worked, management had to attend Code Blues. So I'm sitting in my office and I hear, "Code Blue, room 5. Code Blue, room 5. It was my turn this week to attend Code Blues. So did I run or did I walk? Well, of course I ran. So I go running as fast as I can to room 5. When I get there, I find the client in room 5 sitting up in bed, bewildered while there were so many people in his room. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The new graduate nurse was sitting at the nurse's station and looked up to find the EKG rhythm shown in your video. She noticed the EKG room 5 showed a flat line. She must have said, "My client is dead." Knowing what that meant, she quickly called a Code Blue. Class, what's the first thing she should have done? Yeah, she should have gone and checked on the client. His leads may have been disconnected. Class, who told her the client was dead? A machine. Class, anytime. Yes, I used an absolute word. Anytime you receive secondhand information, there is only one answer choice. Assess your client. Whether it is in real life or on the NCLEX, verify the information as soon as possible. Go to your client. Make sure it agrees with what the secondhand information is telling you. Where can we get secondhand information from? Well, we can get secondhand information from documents like a chart or a computer. You can get it from an equipment like an EKG, a pulse ox, or even a blood pressure machine. Can people give you secondhand information? Oh, yes, they can. An unlicensed assistive personnel, housekeeping, family members, a pharmacy tech. Regardless of who gives you the information, assess your client. However, if you did the assessment and this client is in distress, do not assess. Choose an action, please. Keep your clients safe. I had a brilliant student who was doing very well with the content and in clinicals but struggled in tests. So I sat down with him after class one day to see how I could help him. He did a great job breaking down the question and then he picked an answer, C. I said, "This is your final answer?" He pondered for a while and said, "Absolutely." I said, "We're going to change it up a bit. Who is the dearest person to you?" "My mom," he said. "The client is no longer a client. The client is your mom. What is your answer?" "My mom?" "Yes, your mom." "My mom?" he asked again. "Yes." "If this is my mom, of course the answer is A," he said without hesitation. Class, what do you think the correct answer was? It was A. Test-taking tip. When you begin to think of each client as the most important person in your life, you'll begin to pick the right answer. The odd answer wins. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's say we have read the question again and again and have no idea what it's talking about. Go to the answer choices. Here they are. Respiratory rate, temperature, arrhythmias, and blood pressure. Now, which answer would you pick? I will give you those answer choices again. Respiratory rate, temperature, arrhythmias, blood pressure. Did you notice an odd man out? There are 3 that are vital signs and 1 that is not. Yes, answer choices A, B, and D are all vital signs. The odd man out is arrhythmia, so pick C. The clue is in the stem. Look at the stem again. Are there any words there that can direct you to the correct answer? Yes. Well, think about it this way. Keywords in the options. Are keywords repeating themselves in the options? If they do, look at those answer choices again. I have only discussed 9 strategies so far. There are several others you must know. We'll discuss those throughout the course. On the NCLEX exam, there are several types of questions that you will come across. Chart, exhibit, and graphic items. These could be diagrams. You could have a picture of a vial of insulin or a picture of a chart. Fill in the blank. These are mostly math questions. Remember, just put the number into the blank space. Audio item format. Yes, you could be asked to identify lung or heart sounds. Multiple choice. 4 choices. Pick one. Hotspot items. You may be asked to identify where you would hear aortic heart sounds. And multiple response items. They're my favorite. Yes? No? Well, these are those that ask you to select all that apply. And I know what some of you say. I'm going to fail this one. Not anymore. we're going to learn strategies to help us today. Let's discuss the NCLEX style question. What are the three important parts of the question I want you to know? The scenario, the keywords, and the stem of the question. The scenario. The scenario sets the scene. It tells you what is going on with the client. Read it and read it carefully. And at the end, focus on what the problem is. And we'll talk about this again as we practice. The key words are very important. Remember, on NCLEX, they have removed all the extras. No more names, no ages. They will not even tell you if it's a male or female client. But if the client is pregnant, I guess we can safely assume that she's a female. Now, this means when you see left arm, right leg, I want you to say, why did they give me this information? Because it may be important, but it may not. If they tell you the client is 22 hours post-op, ask yourself again, why did they give me this information? It may be important, and on the other hand, it may not. But we're going to note it because it is a key word. The stem? Well, the stem is your question. Read it again and again. My teacher's voice still rings in my head as she prepared me for the NCLEX tons of years ago. Answer the question, she always said. Answer the question. She would repeat it again and again. When I became a teacher, I knew exactly what she meant. Class, please answer the question in the scenario. Do not assume anything. Do not add anything to the questions. Just answer the question. Don't get caught up in the scenario and forget what the question is really asking. Let's talk about key words because they are very important. Let's look at our client. Most times you will see a client, the client. Anytime you see any word before client, highlight it. So if you see a 45-year-old client, remember now, NCLEX removes what I call excess words, words that don't need to be there. So if you see any word before the word client, guess what? Highlight it. Yes, highlight it. It may be important and it may not be. Now, what if you see a severely depressed client? Could it be significant? Oh, yes. I hope that you're thinking depressed. Is he suicidal? Think safety. I hope you are thinking, depressed. Well, then this is not a client I can teach anything. So if one of your answer choices is teach the client, eliminate it. If you see a postpartum client, which word will you highlight? Yes, postpartum. Any word before the client is probably important. A 3-year-old client, which word would we highlight? Yes, 3-year-old. Why did they tell you it is a pediatric client? Any word before the client, guess what? Highlight it. Now let's talk about absolute words. Can you name some absolute words? All, everyone, always, every, only, never, none. When you see answers containing words like these, eliminate them. Listen to this. 100% of women love music. 100% of men like football. Now, is that true? Well, you know it's not true. Quite a lot of men like football, but not 100%. It is so rare to find anything that is 100% in healthcare. What do you think about this statement? 100% of clients with hyperthyroidism are skinny. True or false? 100%? False. Almost all of them, yes. But 100%? Probably not. Remember, other keywords could include the time frame, age of client, and the priority setting. Remember, you are more than a conqueror and you will be successful. Join me as we review core content in the next unit.